down to part 2 in my top 10 movies of all time. This is going to be numbers 5 to number 1, The Holy Grail. Now, you might be quite surprised at some of these ones. You might not be as well. These are some that have been with me in my top 10 for a long time. And some of them, what I'm going to do is as well, I'm going to link down some of the trailers to these films, because I think I should have done that in my first part. I'll probably go back to my first part and link the trailers in retrospect. But anyway, basically, so we're going to start at number 5. I'm going to go down to number 1 with a bit of a chat about my sort of feelings on these films. So at number 5 is the 1971 classic, A Clockwork Orange. Now this has been up and down in the top 10 quite a bit. I wouldn't say it ever got a number 1. It's probably the film that I've watched the least in my top 10. And the reason why I've watched it the least is because back in the day, when you could only get it on a really bad copy, it was quite hard to watch. I did enjoy it, but it was a bit horror. The sound was going all over the place, and it wasn't an enjoyable film to watch. So until I got it on DVD, it wasn't a film that I excuse me, it wasn't a film that I watched that regularly, but I knew it was a great film. So when it got into the Blu-ray sort of stakes, that's when I took a real shine to it. I wouldn't say I watched the Blu-ray too often as well, which sounds a bit weird, but the reason why I'm sort of holding off on it is because I do know it's got to have a 4K coming out soon. They're redoing all of Stanley Kubrick films in 4K, and this one has got to be done next year. So reason why I'm sort of, I mean, I want to watch this film at the moment because I'm trying to go through all my top 10, because I haven't watched most of the films in the top 10 for quite a while actually. Now I come to look at my list. But the reason why it's the 4K is around the corner, and I don't want to sort of do the Blu-ray then do the 4K. I want to sit with this film as it was meant to be seen, in the best quality it's meant to be seen in, and I'm sure that the colours on the pictures will be so vibrant. It will be an amazing experience. So I'm holding off a little bit from that. But irrespective of that, the film I think is a bit of a masterpiece. I think the first half is better than the second half. I think that the book is better than the film. That's not taking away anything from the film. It is a Stanley Kubrick film. It's a film that probably reeks Stanley Kubrick, and it's a film that he probably made. I think he wanted to make it a little bit more violent than it was, because the book's more violent than the film. But in its respect of the language of the film, the Nadsat language, the teenage slang of the future, it's prevalent in the book and not so much in the film. But you've still got snippets of it, and it does make the film very interesting in that respect. And so number 5 is A Clockwork Orange, and I'm really waiting for the 4K to come out, and I can't wait to see it, and it's got to be out, because I know they're doing something with a 4K on it. So probably release it at the cinema, but that probably won't happen at the moment or at all. So I've got a feeling that this might even go up in the list. At the moment it's going a bit down in the list because I haven't watched it that much, that other films have sort of crept up there that deserve a more righteous place in there. But number 5 is A Clockwork Orange. Now number 4, on the other hand, is a film that I have watched a lot. This film has been number 1 for many years in my list. In fact, it even went out of the top 10 for a brief period of time, and now it's back in the top 10 with a vengeance. And it is the one I've watched the most in my top 10 at the moment, I would say, in recent times. It is 1980s. Can't even lift it up, it's that heavy. The Elephant Man. Now this is in black and white. It's a stunning version. This is a 4K restoration, from brand new 4K restoration from Studio Canal. It looks amazing. It's the best it's ever looked. It's got this package is beautiful. You still can get this package. It's still out there, and I think it goes on eBay. It even goes, I saw one go for £20 on eBay. So it's not out of people's reach if you want to go and get the real deluxe version. But irrespective of that, this film could be classed as I'm going to say it's a one of a kind. I haven't seen a film like it. It is very emotional. It is very well directed. It's got some excellent standout performances by John Gielgud, Anthony Hopkins, and John Hurt, and Anne Bancroft as well. In fact, everyone in here is Michael Elphick is in there as well, and it's got some really early performances from I'm going to blank on the name here, Pauline Quirk, who is in that Birds of a Feather sitcom that's running at the moment, and a few other people that play very small parts. In fact, my wife was watching some kind of crime program the other day, and this lady was on it, and I stopped it and I said, that person there plays John Merrick's or Joseph Merrick's mother in this film. All the scenes you see of her is this lady who's on there from, this is her from Now. Anyway, The Elephant Man is number 4, and if you want a film that is going to deliver on a lot of levels, interesting story, unique story, emotional story, this ticks all the boxes, and I can't fault this film in any way, shape or form. And I love the fact it's in black and white, and it's to me, it benefits from the black and white, and I've always thought as well that, excuse me, this film, this story took place at the same time as Jack the Ripper. I was watching something about Jack the Ripper the other day, where the victims were buried. Wow. And I thought to myself, I wonder if Joseph Merrick, who was an avid reader, I wonder if he was interested in the Jack the Ripper case, which was happening very close to where he lived in Whitechapel. Wow. So there you go. Number 4, The Elephant Man. So number 3 is another black and white film. And this time it is, you could say it's in the middle of this person's career. The funny films had stopped to a certain extent. The serious films had begun to a certain extent. And this sort of bridges the gap between the two of them. But for me, it's the best looking film that this director has made. It is 1979's Manhattan. Now this is in black and white as well. It just reeks of New York. It's got this, it's like a loving postcard of New York. The story is just about Woody Allen, who's coming to a midlife crisis. He's having affairs, and he's meeting other people who are having affairs, and it's just about the relationships, about this whole dynamics of this couple and how they sort of cheat on each other and stuff like that. But this film here isn't really funny, but it is funny. It's got some really good themes running through it. The film itself is, the score of it is a George Gershwin show, operatic, not operatic. Wow. I can't think of the word, but anyway, the George Gershwin theme, it runs through this film, and it's amazing. The overdub of Woody Allen's voice at the start when he's telling you about his book that he's writing, and he's reading out passages and they're not the right passage. When he settles on the right passage, then New York comes to life in a flurry of fireworks that are timed at the same time as the music, which sounds amazing to do, and it's just a visual treat for me. And this film for me is Woody Allen's best film. But it hasn't always been the one that I thought was his best film. Sometimes I used to really love his comedies. I wouldn't touch these with a barge pole, the serious films. But this isn't that serious. It's got a lot of humour in it. And the interesting thing about this one is Woody Allen always usually plays a sort of like a chump. He plays somebody who is down on his luck. He has no luck with lasses, girls. Wow, there's the Geordie coming out in this. I'm not going to go with the Geordie show route. No, we're not going to that route. So yes, anyway, reset. So in this film, he plays somebody who's pompous, arrogant. He wants what he wants. He's very selfish. It's completely the opposite of his character, probably in real life, actually. So for me, it's worth watching for that, to see Woody Allen play a character that is sort of self-assured, and he's always paranoid in his other films, and he nothing goes right for him. In this film, he's quite. But the chickens come home to roost at the end. I'm not going to give anything away from it. It's got an amazing ending for me. It's one of the best endings I've seen in the film. Although when I put it on for my wife and she says, "Is that it?" And I said, "Well, no. I know what you're saying, but for me, the emotion of the whole thing, the whole ending of it, I can't go into it because I'll spoil it for you, is a joy. It's just a joy all the way through for me." So number 3, Woody Allen's Manhattan. And I think he got some Oscars for this or something like that, or that type of thing. So, number 2. Now, this is another film that was number 1. I think Manhattan was number 1 for a brief time. And this film here was number 1 with a bullet for many, many years. It's always been in the top 10. It's went up and down a few times, but recently it's come back up. It hasn't took the number 1 spot yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it took the number 1 spot again, because it is one of the best films of all time. It is a faultless film. There's nothing I can say. I can pick faults with some films. I can pick faults with, some faults with this film, but not really The Elephant Man. I can with The Elephant Man to a certain extent, but that would be a spoiler alert. But this film is flawless, and it is 1975's Jaws. Now, I bet a lot of people would have thought this was number 1, and quite rightly, because I do love this film. Like I say, I cannot fault this film at all. It's perfect in every way. I'm going to link down my description that I did, my review I did of this film when I got this 4K. The 4K is stunning. It's never looked so good. When I watched it, it's not that I don't get this film. I watched it that many times I could say it off by heart, but it was like a new experience for me. I felt like the whole the picture quality, the sound quality just got me back into the fever of Jaws, and me and my wife loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. It's not one of them films where you've watched it 1,000 times in the past and you kind of put it to one side, knowing it's a great film, but you just don't go back to it because you've seen it that many times. You get a bit fed up of it. This film, you can never get fed up with it. It's got my favourite scene of all time in any movie. It's where Quint is listening to the line click and he's doing all his stuff. The other people don't have a clue that he's going to catch this shark. Excuse me, catch this shark at this time. But it's just such an iconic scene. It just can't. Just when it comes, the shivers go down your spine, all that type of thing. Anyway, number 2 is 1975's Jaws on the 4K. You've got to get it if you want to see it in its best form, shape or form. Go for the 4K. I would love to think that all these could find 4K one day. I do think that Manhattan was talked about in 4K a few years ago. They were going to get out in the cinema. That never came about, but I wouldn't be more than surprised than this one to go into 4K, because the picture, the framing in this picture and what it shows in this picture is just amazing to watch. I know it's black and white and it's 1979 and it is a film about relationships, but it's much more than that. The music as well is just unreal, and it really, Woody Allen films have got great music in, and they always seem to fit every type of film he's got, and the music in that fits that. Although most of his music is music that's like jazz and ragtime, which sounds preposterous, but it really goes with his films because he plays that stuff in his band, really, that he plays in New York City. So anyway, 1975 Jaws is number 2. So here it is, the big one, number 1. What could be number 1 after that? Because those films there, you've heard me talk about those films quite a lot, especially Jaws, Elephant Man. Love that film. I'm going to do a big thing on Elephant Man, a big video that I hope will transcend across YouTube. I'm trying to make it the definitive video if you want to go and see anything about the Elephant Man, which is a hard thing to do. I've got to really do my homework on that and also get me editing skills up again. Me just sitting here with me wall is not going to cut it. I've got to do something with clips and videos and stuff like that, and maybe even things you can go to. I did want to go to where, when I went down to London a few years ago, I did want to go to the place that kind of still exists where Joseph Merrick lived, and I do want to do that, although I did go to the Ripper walks, and I think that went close to it, but it wasn't close enough. But anyway, number 1, what is it, right? So you've got all them out the way. You think to yourself, what possibly could it be? Because those are the ones that you always go on about to be your favourite films and films that you love. What other one? And I can tell you, probably I have not talked about this film on this channel at all. I don't think I've mentioned one word about this film. So there you go. So that's hopefully piqued your interest, and I'm going to reveal to you that my top number 1 film of all time is 2007's Disney film Enchanted. Now, Amy Adams, I got you. Now, but I'm not taking anything away from this film. This film is going to make an appearance in my channel in a couple of videos. There's a very in-depth video that I've been trying to do for a while. I had to write all this stuff down. It's not working at the moment, but this is going to feature in that, and I can't tell you why. It doesn't feature because it's a Disney film. It's irrelevant of that. It's for some other reason. But this is a joke, but it's not a joke. I do like this film. It's a really good film, and Amy Adams' performance in here is unreal. Anyway, moving on. The real number one in my collection is a Criterion release, and it was released on a few things, other labels, but the Criterion for me is a definitive release, and it's only released in region A, so it's an American release. It's not a UK release. I would love them to release it in UK so I can put it on my 4K player, maybe upscale this. Saying that, on my Blu-ray player, this film looks stunning as well. It's black and white again, so there you go. The number one film of all time is black and white, and it's from 1986, and it is Down by Law. Now, this film for me, I did say that Jaws was perfect in every way, and it is. And this film for me, in my opinion, is perfect in every way. It's black and white. It's the screen. The cinematographer is a fella called Robbie Mueller, who is one of the best cinematographers in the world. If you go and see some films that have got reputations for being stunning, like say Paris, Texas, for instance, and the what you see in the film is just unreal. This one here is just that. I'm going to link down in the description the trailer from this film, because you need to see what I didn't talk when I did this one the first time around. I didn't mention about the fact of Tom Waits. He has 2 songs on the soundtrack, and you do hear one of his songs playing on the trailer for the Down by Law. Now, if you want to get the 2 songs that are featured on here, they're on his 1985 album, Rain Dogs, and yes, Rain Dogs. And the songs are Jockey Full of Bourbon and Tango Till They're Sore. Now, you'll hear Jockey Full of Bourbon on the trailer. Now, what's this film about? Anyway, what happens is, it could be action-packed, but it's not. It's mainly about these characters, and they are put together in a series of misadventures, with people. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but he's either Jack or Zach. I think he's Zach, and he is a DJ, and he gets framed for something, and Jack is a pimp who gets framed for something as well, and Bob is the only one who's done something really, and he's the most inoffensive bloke you could ever meet. He's a very nice fella. He's one of those blokes that you instantly think, what a great guy, you would like to have on your side, sort of thing. He can't speak English. He's Italian. He's got a phrase book that he's got from whoever he speaks to. He might write it down, so he gets his phrase book out and he says things, and he has jokes. These two, when they're in prison, they hate each other. They have fights. They've all got black eyes from having a fight. He's in the middle, trying to make sure. In fact, that's a great picture to sum up the whole movie. The fact that these two are completely at loggerheads, and poor Bob is stuck in the middle, trying to make light of a horrible situation of these 3 being locked into a New Orleans jail. Now, what happens is, though, you can see the film's in 3 parts. The first part is behind these two's backstory. Then they go into jail. Bob comes into jail. They find out all about Bob, and they start getting along to a certain extent, even though they don't really get along, these two, and they never do. Then they have a jailbreak and they get out. You don't see anything about the jailbreak. In fact, in the trailer, you'll see the jailbreak. It's literally a couple of frames of them running down a sewer, shouting and screaming, and that's them out. And then the last part of the film is about them trying to, how they're going to survive out in the Everglades, and are they going to escape for real? Are they going to get away with it, for instance? And to be honest, even though Bob's done something, he hasn't really done something. And this whole story is fascinating to me. I remember seeing this on TV, and it was introduced in the movie Drome. That Alex Cox used to do, and he used to talk about films, and when he talks about this film, I thought this sounds brilliant. I did tape it. It went into my top 10, but it stayed in the lower part of my top 10. But over the years, it's crept up and crept up. I think it's been number 1 for quite a long time. And I was so pleased to get the Criterion version of Down by Law. It, for me, at the moment, it is the definitive version of it. Although you can get one in the UK. That was a postcard that I bought somewhere. I thought, wow, you know, when you just see something out in the wild, you think, I can't believe that there's something like that somebody's got. They're selling something like that. So this film is also released by Soda Pictures in the UK. It's hard to get in the UK, but the film itself doesn't look that good. If you want the best looking Down by Law, and it's not cheap as well, and I don't know if it's still in print. It's the Criterion all the way, but it's Tom Waits is one of the coolest fellas that you can ever meet, and also his songs have been ripped off by Rod Stewart. Everybody says Rod Stewart's got the gruffest voice in music. Well, take a listen to Tom Waits, and you'll think that Roy Stewart, it sounds like Aled Jones compared to the gruff voice of Tom Waits. I could listen to him. Well, I've got all his albums anyway, so that's and he's still making records today. So yes, so there you go. That's my top 10 of all time, and I hope you enjoyed this videos. I've really enjoyed doing these ones, and I hope I've given you a few surprises down the way. And stick around for this making an appearance in a different video, which you might then. It's not a Disney video, although I do like Disney films. I think they're all great. So there you go. So thanks once again, and if you like this video, please talk about these videos. I do get lots of comments in my comment box, which is great. I do get around to them. It's a busy time, October. It's not only is it work, it's buying stuff and watching other videos. It's a busy old time here, but I will get around to everything. I do appreciate anybody who's took the time out to comment on my videos. Means a lot. And also any subscribers that are coming along, they're all coming along all the time. And if I can see who the subscriber is, I will thank them or comment on anything that they put on. Sometimes I don't know who they are, who subscribe, but just let me say that I do appreciate anybody who's taken the time out to watch anything that I've done. It's been a bit of a these past 4 months have been a bit of a roller coaster ride. So anyway, thanks once again. You take care, and I'll see you next time.